Okay, welcome to July's community practice. So good to have you. Looking forward to today's topic and presenters. We've got a lot of great practitioners and experts with us today to talk about business engagement and the strategies that they're using that are successful. So before we do that, let's take care of a couple housekeeping things. Thank you to the DD Council and IBRS for their continued support and investment in the Iowa community of practice. We always appreciate their partnership and continued investment in this important work for Employment First. Thank you to the Center for Inclusive Design, Georgia Tech, our lead captioner Heather, for providing captions for us. You can find the stream text link in the chat there if you would like to use that. So just pop on over there and grab that. We are of course recording, and we'll share the recording out to the mailing list along with the presentation and any additional materials or resources. Hopefully I'm not forgetting anything. Let me check our attendance here. Perfect. So today we have an amazing lineup. We're hearing from 3 different providers from all across the state, all of which are doing amazing work, right, in Employment First. So I'm really excited to have New Hope represented today, EPI and Hope Haven Area Development Center, right, from Carroll, Waterloo, and Burlington, respectively. So again, great representation from a diverse group of providers, all doing work in employment and to support Employment First. And today we're going to focus on business engagement, developing relationships with business. And so I think first of all, I will hand it off to Eva Castillo and Amanda Hatton with Hope Haven Area Development Center in Burlington to get us started. Ladies, take it away. It is all yours.
Great.
All right. Yeah. So I just had to wait for Jess to mute because fun fact, we're all in the same room. You wouldn't even know. So anyway, my name is Eva Castillo and I'm the director of the Employment Services Program at Hope Haven in Burlington, Iowa. And Mandy.
Yep. And I am Mandy Hatton. I am on Eva's employment team as one of her employment coordinators and the benefits planner for our agency. So I'm going to go ahead and share our screen here and make sure you all can see. Can you see?
Mm-hmm.
Is it working?
I can. Yes.
Okay. I'm trying to see
how you can see. Well, I can go ahead and jump in. So obviously, Amanda, when you can see your screen, you can jump back into. So Hope Haven Area Development Center, progress the slide maybe. Was established obviously in 1950. Our employment services program started in 1988. We do a wide variety of services from obviously started with a sheltered workshop type setting, providing vocational training and transitioned into small group employment. We have 2 occupational skills trainings program, a work assessment through partnerships with Iowa Vocational Rehabilitation, career exploration, job placement supports through job development. We also are doing customized discovery and we are an early adapter of IPS. So next slide.
Okay.
There you go, Mandy.
All right, thank you. So we obviously are going to talk a little bit about just the business partnerships, some of the ones that we have developed along the way, just examples of some of them, what went well, what, some of the struggles of business partnerships are, and hopefully just be able to spark some interest in following those processes for you guys too. So on the bottom left there is Eva and Heather from Dorn and Ward Packaging. So that's one example that we have for business partnerships that we've developed. We've worked with Dorn and Ward for many years. One of the first placements Hope Haven had within the employment services program was at Dorn and Ward Packaging in 1995, right? Eva, correct me if I'm wrong, 1995.
Correct.
And so it started off as just a placement and job coaching within that to provide supports to the individual that was working there, but it's since grown into a lot more than that. Now Heather also participates with us. We've started occupational training programs, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but she also participates in those. When we do some classroom time, she'll come in and present on the HR perspective of requesting accommodations, hiring people with disabilities. She talks to our students and participants in those programs about the pros and cons to disclosing disability. So that partnership has really grown a lot over time to just really, as it says, more of a partnership that's beyond the placement necessarily. So she really values the work that Hope Haven does, and we really value everything that she also helps out with, and everything that we have there. We've also been talking to her about developing another OST. The OST that we currently have is in the customer service realm. So while it's not at all related to the production type work that the area that she is in, she has presented for us on those pieces of it, but again, our partnership is involved, and she's interested in doing an occupational skills program at Dorn and Ward. Okay. Another example that we have and how that might have started is we work with Chase Gibb in our area a lot, and Chase owns several businesses in the Southeast Iowa area. We've had a relationship with him a long time, but a lot of what we do sometimes in those partnerships with Iowa Vocational Rehabilitation, where we'll do job shadows and work assessments, is that he'll allow us to come in and do all sorts of assessments at multiple of his businesses. And he's actually hired several individuals from those assessments as well. So we often partner for those work assessments. He accepts placements, and he is a big advocate of hiring people with disabilities in our area. And one thing that we always try to do with our business partners is take the opportunity to recognize and thank them, both just for being involved in the community, for hiring individuals that have disabilities. And we do that a number of ways. We might do that just by recognizing them in our newsletter or on our Facebook page. Chase has been nominated for the APSI Employer of the Year Award, and he won that award one year. So again, I think for us, when it breaks down to partnerships, is we really try to make it not just about Hope Haven and hiring people with disabilities, but about going in and understanding a business and appreciating what they've got going on as well. And so we've been able to do that with Chase also. And then another example that we have of business partnerships is that occupational skills training we have. So we've had a pretty long-standing relationship with the local Hy-Vees in our area, particularly the one of the two that is in Burlington. And so we've always had individuals that have been hired there. They're very big proponents of inclusive hiring. But one thing that we did that was new last year was approach them about doing an occupational skills training program. And I'm not sure if everybody is familiar with OSTs. It is a Iowa Vocational Rehabilitation Menu of Service item. And what it does is combine a written teachable curriculum on a particular skill set or occupation, and then pairs that with an internship at a local business in the community. So we worked with IVRS to identify what category, I guess, was most needed in our area, and customer service was one of those that was identified. So we developed a curriculum that taught customer service skills and a lot of other soft skills that we felt weren't able to be well taught in other areas or other capacities. Created a curriculum for it, and it made that part of the program. And then our local Hy-Vee was super excited to jump on board and allow us to complete our internship hours there in their courtesy clerk position. And so as you can see from the pictures, these are 2 different rounds that we did. We operate it about 4 times a year for about 8 weeks each time, where they'll get that classroom experience where they learn the skills and then go be able to complete paid work internship hours at Hy-Vee. We really like the occupational skills training and what it's done for our partnership too. One is that it meets the needs of the employer and the job seekers. Of the, I believe now 30 individuals that we've had go through this occupational skills training since we started the program, about 9 of them got hired at jobs that allowed them to use those customer service skills within 3 to 6 months afterwards. And Hy-Vee actually hired several of them. And then because that partnership is so mutually beneficial for the employers and the job seekers, it's also expanded to other Hy-Vees in our region. So it started at the Burlington one. We expanded that into south of Burlington in the Keokuk area. The Hy-Vee down there adopted that. And then we've also had conversations in Fort Madison and Mount Pleasant area about potentially doing this program. So it's also allowed us to expand our business partnerships to other areas within that OST. So I'm a huge proponent of OSTs. I think if you can take the time to create one that is for a need in your community, you definitely should. I think it also helps shift the focus away from just placements to actually developing a mutually beneficial partnership. Some successes and struggles that we experience. We've been doing this for a long time in our community. So our community has a lot of businesses and stakeholder support for Hope Haven in general. A lot of times we will get businesses nowadays that will come to us looking for people to hire. But we do also get a lot of individuals or businesses that are looking for that pre-voc type work too. So some of that struggle is just educating our community on the Employment First initiative and inclusive hiring and what that can look like for them. Sometimes it can be hard to encourage that open-mindedness because the businesses or their managers or operating managers have a certain way that they feel like things need to be done, particularly for those production type jobs that they might be looking for. So just trying to encourage the businesses to be open-minded about different things can be difficult. Eva mentioned that we do customized discovery as a service. And so we do look into doing customized jobs and just trying to educate businesses on what accommodations might be needed. Varying communication skills that, somebody could communicate with you just as easily even if they have to use a communication board versus just verbally communicating. And so a lot of education for businesses can be a struggle, but sometimes also a success. And it's always great when you have a business that's willing to be open-minded about that. Another struggle that can sometimes come up is just following up with businesses. I think management is not exempt to the turnover that we're seeing a lot now and being short-staffed. And so sometimes we'll have developed what we feel like is a solid partnership with a business. And then a couple of weeks later, we find out that the manager is gone and we feel like we're starting over. So that definitely does happen. What we've found to be helpful with that is that when we are going in, we're not just developing that partnership with one person at that business. We might have multiple contacts. If we do and are lucky enough to have a placement in a business, really trying to get in there to discuss like natural supports and get natural supports established, that even if there's a management turnover, there might be still some of the other staff there as well, and being a part of that whole culture that's there. So other tips and things that we've learned along the way in terms of business partnerships is just to really be involved in your community. Our employment team and our administration team in general are members of a lot of different things and serve on different boards and service clubs. So I know Eva is a member of the chamber and serves in the chamber. All of our employment specialists are members of the young professionals. That gives them the opportunity to just meet new people who are working in businesses or owning businesses in our area. We encourage them to attend business after hours sometimes. I think throughout the admin building, everybody serves on, either the Lions Club or Kiwanis or the Rotary, to stay connected in the community on things that they might need as well, and use that as a kind of a starting point for developing some of those business relationships. Eva can attest, we do a lot of presentations on the different services we provide, on employment services in general, on advocating for employment first and inclusive hiring. We attend a lot of career fairs. We did the 5th and 8th grade career fairs this last year. And while that wasn't necessarily for developing a business relationship, there were the schools that were there, and other people that we made relationships with. And a lot of times that also just produces connections for businesses in the future too. So, and then the last tip is just to not give up, because you will probably get a lot more no's sometimes, and some days and weeks, than you will yeses. But when you can really develop a good business relationship with someone, it's very much worth it. And obviously, we get to see the good rewards of that when we have individuals that we're supporting, that are working out in the community in a good environment that we've helped get them there for. So, and that is all I have. I'm going to stop share here for a sec.
Fabulous. Yeah, and we'll make sure to share your slides and contact information with the group as well.
Great.
Oh, fabulous. Thank you, Amanda and Ethan. If anybody has any questions or comments, just hold on to those or pop them in the chat, and we'll circle back to those towards the end, because I'm going to hand it over to the lovely Jen Daniel, Director of Employment Services at New Hope, and she's also joined on the call by her entire team, Kara, Chris, and Christine. So if you ladies need to jump in as well, please do. Jen, let me pull up your slide here. Yeah, and Jen's getting situated here. There we go.
Okay, I think I'm ready to go.
So
And like you said, yeah, Chris Clucky, Kara Montgomery, and Christine Walterman are on also. So yeah, ladies, please jump in if you want. So New Hope, we're celebrating our 45th anniversary as an agency. Employment started in the 90s. I can remember about 8 years ago, we had 17 people that were employed individually in the community, and today we sit at 65. Part of that, what happened there, and I think what pushed it is the employment first, along with, we did have a large sheltered workshop. We had massive enclaves, and we have ended all of that. So now we strictly do individual supported employment in the community. We got rid of our 14C also in that process. So it's been a rebuilding, but it's been a good rebuilding. But along with that is we had to shift the communities and even staff's idea of what employment looks like for people. So one of the things we tried to do is reach out to employers in the community, because they were used to us being cleaning service, which maybe a lot of people have seen. And one of the things we did is we looked at all the businesses in the state, or in our town and around our town, and what are some areas that we want to try to get into yet that we haven't been able to get into. So that's what this slide shows. It's just a small piece of, we sent individual letters to these businesses, just letting them know about what our services are. We did some follow-up phone calls if people had questions. We tried to do some outreach. Staff also will go in, they'll do drop-ins into businesses. These ladies are very comfortable with doing it. It's something that I myself would struggle with, but I'm proud of them that they're able to walk in and just ask what's going on, ask if they can get a tour, look for those places where you could maybe customize some employment. And along with that, if you want to shift to that business card, one of the things we did do is we updated our business card. Now, some of the gals like it, some don't, I think for various reasons. But if you look, the side where it says Chris Clucky at the top, that's the front and back of our business card. And then the jobs for people, people for jobs is information that is inside of the card. So we can leave this with businesses and it gives them just a little piece of what we're able to provide and how we're able to support their business or individuals they might want to employ. Like I said, sometimes it's a little wordy because I think people like to have that conversation. They like to go to those smaller businesses, and you find that most of the time your managers are working anymore. So you get to have a lot more of those one-on-one conversations. But this is just a piece that we saw, well, maybe if we leave this behind as opposed to a page brochure or something, it might be an easier tool to leave. So we changed that a number of years ago for these guys to be able to leave that information behind. And then another place that we've tried to look at is, if you want to do that, the next slide, Jess, is if anybody's doing that discovery staging report, if you're doing the customized discovery, this is a page farther down in the report that once they get through the informational interviews and job shadows, and they come up with 3 vocational themes. And one of the tasks that these guys complete is they list 20 businesses in each of those themes. I've taken this sheet from different people's reports and given it to my staff that aren't even in employment. I've given it to other people in our agency and just said, do you know anybody at any of these 60 businesses that we can film or we can create a warm contact? Because, in Carroll, it's a lot of local. And even though I've lived there, I'm looking at it and I have no clue even what some of the businesses are, because I've never had a need to go into them. But our maintenance director probably has been into a lot more businesses that deal with his job than I'll ever go into to fix my house. So this is a tool we've used to try to build those warm contacts. Ladies, do you have anything to add as far as tools you've used or things that? I don't see anybody unmuting, so.
No, I can get mine unmuted. No, I was just gonna say another thing is, if we go into a business and, let's say they so much don't have too much going on in their business, but let's say, the manager of the small thrift shop downtown says, but so-and-so I know is looking for people, or, they don't mind if you come in there and talk to them. So we've kind of used businesses that we've gotten to know the managers at as places to help us, as people to help us get into other businesses actually too.
So building that rapport with that manager enough that they know what we can provide. And so they're offering and helping other businesses be able to utilize that resource by providing us that name. I think Chris is going to start with talking about one of our success stories, just a little history on it. In Carroll, we have just a regional standalone hospital. We're not part of any big chain or conglomerate. It's St. Anthony's Regional Hospital. And up until a few years ago, we were not able to get into there at all to look at anything they had to offer. Their HR director didn't understand how we could benefit them. A few years back, HR director changed, and it is now the mother of one of the individuals we support. So you can about imagine, and she's been working for a number of years between Pizza Hut until COVID and at Fairway. So that mother has been, and she also came from a business where we worked for a lot of years. She transferred. So that opened up that hospital wide open for us. And if you think about what's all can be done in a hospital, it's not, we're in dietary, we're in custodial maintenance. They help unload trucks. St. Anthony's also has some assisted living programs. They have a nursing home connected. So I'll let Chris go ahead and talk about some of the jobs that we've had there and how that's worked with that shift in the HR person and just getting to know the individual directors of each department at the hospital.
Sure. Actually, one of the first people that we actually got into the dietary department, it was before customized employment. We did the whole discovery. He interviewed the director of that department said I think his referrals came back bad. Whoever we put down as referrals didn't didn't give him very good referrals. So we went on, we tried other places, but we just knew deep down that was the place for him. He was comfortable there. He just, it was just a perfect match. We could just tell that. So I went back to the department director and I said, hey, I know his referrals probably didn't come back great. I said, is there something we can do to let's give him another try. So we ended up doing an assessment there with them. And through the assessment, they just absolutely loved him. He's been there for a little over 2 years now. He leads the tray line, so he puts all the stuff on the tray line. So that's opened the door for like Matt, the director of food nutrition. He's just like, I can't always trust what I hear. I have to see it for my eyes. He's seen it for his eyes. So now that's opened the door. I think now that we've got like Jen said, we've got 2 people unloading trucks now, one for the assistant living, one for the actual hospital. We've got one young lady that always wanted to get her CNA, just graduated high school, wanted to get her CNA. Finally, she did get her CNA, and the nursing home hired her full time as a CNA. So now we've got a good contact with Bobby, the director of the nursing home. So that's led to her coming to us for another job where they created just for this individual at the hospital, like a CNA position without her having her CNA. And then that led to us getting to talk to the director of the cleaning or whatever and so now we've got 2 people that help with in doing the housekeeping. We got 2 people in housekeeping now, and so I think right now we've got 8 people and possibly a 9th person just from making that one contact and expanding in 2 different departments at the hospital.
I think one of the cool things about that job where Chris said they created it, they took it upon themselves, I think, and they hadn't even worked with us yet, but our relationship with Matt, I don't know if it was word of mouth, if it was the HR or what, but they went ahead and created that. It's like a CNA support. So this individual will make beds, she does laundry, she fills stocks laundry, helps with snack. They created that customized position and wrote the job description for it on their own, and then came to us and said, okay, we have this job. Do you think you'd have anybody interested? So I think, the hospital, knowing what we were able to do in the dietary and the custodial, did take it upon themselves. So I thought that was pretty cool that they came to us with this custom job. And the gal ended up leaving somewhere else. I think she makes $5 more an hour, and she's 20 hours a week. So it was a great opportunity for her. And that just came from those contacts within that business. So.
Yeah, they said, and actually the director there, she goes, you tell me what you think she should be paid. And I said, I think she should be paid close to what a CNA gets paid, as she's doing the work. I mean, she doesn't have that CNA, so, of course, I don't expect her to be paid as much without that CNA, but she gets paid close to what the CNAs get paid. So.
I don't really have any more than that unless Carroll or Christine have any additional comments.
Something that I have found success in is when I'm going into a business as a cold contact, just being excited about what they're doing there. And I know that's something that they've always told us in our training and stuff to do, but really being able to look at your surroundings, see what's going on, and be able to ask questions that show that you really care about what they're doing, that you're really invested or really interested in what they're doing, even if you don't know what they're doing, or you don't, you would never care to work there yourself. Just selling it like you do care, and you just think it's the coolest job ever. Because if somebody else, that's their life's work or their passion, they don't want to talk about that to somebody who doesn't match their excitement. And I've just found some success in that.
That's great. That's a great tip. Thank you, Karen. Christine, go for it.
I myself have found a lot of success by just dropping into businesses. Of course, it just all depends upon the kind of business that you're able to do, just drop in on. Obviously, a big corporation like Pella, it's a little difficult just to drop it and say, hey, I need to speak with somebody, versus, a smaller clothing store where you can, and it's just giving that personal touch and explaining what we do. And I think the people tend to, they hear that care in your voice, and you can give them the reassurance that, you're going to be there with the person. So that's my preferred method, is to drop in. And kind of hard to tell somebody no, like straight to their face. It's real easy to tell somebody no over the phone. So,
Well, I think you and Kara bring up something really important about, utilizing small business, and then again, being excited about what they do and really caring to learn about what they do and how they do it, right? So I think those are great tips. Because they seem very simple, but we maybe don't always do that, or kind of forget about that, right? Thank you, ladies. Thank you, New Hope. Any questions, comments for New Hope? Hold on to those, drop them in the chat, and we'll circle back. Because now, without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Nicole Erickson, Director of Employment Services for Exceptional Persons out of Waterloo. She's going to talk to us a little bit about what they're up to and what's working for them.
Good afternoon. I don't feel like it is fair that I am forced to work in the same room as these ladies, because I cannot stop laughing. My name is Nicole Erickson, and I am the Director of Employment Services with Exceptional Persons in Waterloo, and also your Iowa APSE president. And I chair the training. So what Jen and Eva have already gone over, I would just be repeating myself. I think they have great examples of what that looks like from the start. But what I'm going to cover today is the longevity of relationships with businesses. And how do you extend those relationships out for years and years and years to come? And one of the things I think that we do really, really well at EPI is just that, is what we call being a chameleon in our businesses, and blending in and finding those folks within that business that really become our champions. And we do that through building relationships. And a lot of that is more listening about the needs of the business, which both Jen and Eva and Mandy both covered. When we initially go in to develop a business, we're going to listen to their needs. They don't really care what we do. They don't really care what our mission is. What they care about is efficiencies and effectiveness, and hiring employees, and employees that are going to meet the needs of their business, right? So really listening throughout that process, but then that ongoing partnership is providing more employees after we get to know the business and what their needs are and what their expectations are, and how we can be a good fit for them through our organization. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to have Jess, can you click on our anniversary video? I'm first going to show how we have showcased long-term employment partnerships or employers through our organization, and brought that into a stakeholder video and celebration of EPI.
Okay, sorry, I want to make sure I got the right.
Can you guys hear the sound?
Okay, sorry. Um, yeah. No, you're fine. Eva's gonna help me. Thank you very much. Strategy. Okay, now there's captions on for the videos. Let me mute myself and start all over. Thanks for your patience.
I think sometimes, given where we're at in time now, we have a tendency to lose some of the magic of the EPI story, and there really is magic there. It goes back to May of 1957. The amazing thing about May of 1957 is there was just simply nothing available in terms of community-based services for people with intellectual and other developmental disabilities.
There was the option to keep your child at home, really with no support, or the compassionate advice of that time was to place a child in an institution. And most institutions are a couple hours away from here.
There were a group of moms and dads that just kept thinking, man, we've got to be able to do better than this. And there was some energy that was coalescing around that. A group of community leaders got involved, and they decided to create an organization that was focused on building community-based services for people with disabilities. They recruited a guy, a social worker who was living in Lincoln, Nebraska, a guy named Bill Brown. And Bill joined the organization in 1957 and became the founding director of EPI.
We got started as a preschool for kiddos with disabilities in a church basement, actually. Today, we're a community-based nonprofit serving close to 400 individuals in the community. We provide support to a wide range of people with differing abilities. And we also provide support to families in need of childcare. We believe to be successful, we need to connect people, create opportunities, and nurture growth. We do that in a variety of ways. People that we serve, we connect them to places and people in the community that share a common interest. So it could be a restaurant, could be entertainment, even a place of worship, just helping people connect in our community. And we also connect employers to quality employees, people that we serve who are ready, willing, and able. We've partnered with over 100 businesses and matched them to employees and people that we support.
I would tell other businesses to reach out to EPI to fill some of the positions that you have open with some teamwork between your business and the folks at EPI. I think there can be much success for both parties involved. Bo is a guy who comes in every day. He's got a positive attitude. He's a joy to be around. There's not a day that goes by that Bo doesn't make me laugh, or I mean, he brightens my day. It's just an overall pleasure to have Bo around on the team.
I've been in EPI services for 2 years. It's been a fun time. It's helped me very much. I was about to give up on looking for a job until I found this place. I do two different jobs here. I do janitorial for one and then production the other. Next Wednesday will be my 1-year anniversary here, and I love it. EPI helped me find a good job that I love, and I want to stay here for a very long time.
Got to know EPI through 2 acquaintances that I had when I was a teenager. They actually worked for EPI. They were DSPs, and I always thought it was interesting learning about what they did, and I had no idea about that industry or how they served people that way, so it was just interesting to get to know EPI. My wife and I both support EPI, and I think it's important to advocate for people that may not be able to advocate for what they need, or just help them if they need specific help. I think we need to be compassionate as a community and help integrate them and, you know, make them feel like part of the community, because they are. So
I work here because it gives me a purpose. I feel like I am giving back to society and helping people that can't help themselves sometimes.
My mom got me into EPI and got me to be with EPI. It's a good organization, good place to be. They help a lot of adults. If I didn't have EPI helping me out, I'd be lost. I couldn't do it without them.
Of course, they've taken me to a lot of my
medical appointments.
The main thing for me is that I feel I'm making a difference in people's lives, helping them get integrated in their communities and being part of their communities. You get to meet people from all walks of life.
I first became aware of EPI back several years when I was invited to go to the More Than You See event. What I didn't anticipate is really to see the high.
All right, so that's just a little bit. And so we're going to talk about the educational piece of this and making sure that we do have an opportunity to share with businesses what our mission is, and they can see that in action through visuals, right? And connect themselves to the people in this video. We also do what's called the diversity and inclusion training for workforces, and it's kind of an ongoing training for different business environments. People are afraid of what they don't know. And that's what we found 13 years ago, I guess, when I started with EPI. It's a very, very small program. And as you see in the video, it's very, very large at this point for us in our rural communities as well. But education, knowledge, and information is so important, not only around our provider organization, but around the individuals we're serving. Some businesses, they've worked with other organizations, they've had experiences in the past that maybe poisoned their well a little bit. They didn't have the knowledge and education they needed to fully understand what job coaching services look like or what the partnership looks like. And so being clear about what they can expect from job coaches in their business is so important. Your job coaches have to be ready to, and if you are a job coach, be ready to go in there and form natural relationships and connect with people on more of a personal level, while also providing that education and knowledge about the services we're providing. And that we've talked about in our ACRE training. How much are we disclosing to the employer? Do we want them to understand that we're there to support with mental health as needed? Are we there to support specifically with tasks and meeting physical expectations? Why are we there, and what does that
Sorry, guys, I think we lost audio there for a second. Is that true? Can you hear Jess right now? Okay, cool. Nicole's is working on coming back. Sorry about that. Gotta love technology. All right, Nicole's gonna join me over here. I'm just gonna hand her off to you, and she'll finish up, and then I'll wrap this up as well. So here you go. Thanks, Nicole. Sorry.
Usually it's the person that goes first that has the most difficulty. All right, let's just start. Let's open it up for questions. What are your guys' thoughts? You know what? Let's talk about questions. And for me, for Eva, for Jen.
Here. Let's see what we got. Hopefully y'all can hear me okay. Yeah, okay, good. I can hear myself over on the other computer. A couple of the things that actually each team talked about that I thought was really interesting was their use of social capital, right? Or existing relationships, whether it was like Hope Haven, and both EPI kind of utilizing existing relationships with employers, but how do I leverage that and do that a little bit differently? And I really got to that sense of like reciprocity right? Not, it's just not about like us as the provider or job developer coming in to ask for something or to, you know, whether it's the OST or a job or whatever, but just kind of that like give and take. And the business really being able to get in on that too and kind of give back in different ways that have nothing to do necessarily like with the job. But then New Hope also talking too about, you know, Jen taking the list of 20 around to different people in the agency, or figuring out who those warm contacts are at businesses, you know, even in a small community. Oh, and then asking for advice from businesses. I heard you ladies talk about that too. Like when you're in those conversations with business saying like, who else should I be talking to? Right. I know I'm here with you today and that's great, but you know, who else do I need to be connecting with on this who might know a lot, which I think all of those strategies are super, super important. Any thoughts, comments on that? Quiet. So any takeaways from today that folks want to share back with us that you'll be implementing in, you know, the days or weeks ahead? Anything you heard that kind of stuck with you?
Something that I wrote down is, I don't know, I guess it struck me when.
Tara, are you talking? I can't.
Yes. Can you hear me? Can everybody hear me?
Oh, there you
go. Okay. Something that I wrote down is, what does the business need? Maybe it's just me, but I think sometimes I get stuck in like, this person, I need, you know, to do an activity, or we need to get in and do this or that. And it's like, well, maybe I'm not doing the right approach. So I think that's something that I will take away from us talking today, is go in and not make it about me, you know, every time. Make it definitely more about them, which I think I do in a roundabout way. But don't even bring up what I need to be getting done as well. Just make it about them and see if I can find some more success in that.
I agree. And I feel like that makes it so much easier too, right? You know, kind of takes the pressure off of us as the job developer. It's like, I just need to really just go in and have a conversation. I don't need to ask anything. I don't need to necessarily explain about what I do or my services, you know, though I could if they ask me. But, you know, I sure know how to like just come in and be excited and have a conversation with somebody to try to get to know them better. So
I would add just being a customer to the business.
yes. Nicole's talking about just being a customer to the business, right? Like frequenting as a customer, utilizing the service or the products, and probably sharing your experience back with them too, right? Is always, yeah. You know, to Kara's point earlier, gets them excited, right? Because you're excited about what I do, like my passion, my, how I make my living, right? The things that I'm, you know, deeply entrenched in. Eva, did you want to say something, honey?
Oh, so I was just gonna mention, so for those of you thinking like how to maximize your time and like, oh, so I'm gonna go to business after hours, or I'm gonna go meet with a business and stuff like that. And really, if you can bill it, like you can probably bill that service if it's tied to a person that you're talking about, you know what I mean? So you can talk about someone in particular in mind. So if for all those, you know, watching our, you know, billable time and things like that, you really can loop that back into job development or, you know, that development. And sometimes we're just going to have those moments where we just make those relationships and create that, because then in the long run, you hope that that's going to take you to the next level for a success for an individual. And so that's just something I've always taught my team, is that you just never know who you're going to talk to, you know, at any given moment. And so just always having that in mind. So.
You know, Nicole's saying you're more likely to network in your personal life than you are in your professional life, which I think is really right. That's like so true. And I was just joking with somebody the other day about, you know, being adults with like young kids or kids, right? We maybe don't always have a social life, or our social life is tied to, right, our children in one way or another. So we know the people they know, but really utilizing that as an opportunity to like talk to people about like, hey, what do you do? Where do you do that? You know, tell me more. Do you know anybody kind of around this like industry or theme, right? Because I'm kind of looking to get to know more about it. So
Getting your friends excited about what you do and them then become the natural champion for within their own social networks,
that's
their own circle.
So I'm not sure if you heard that, but Nicole was saying, you know, be sure to be sharing with your family and friends about what you do, getting them excited about what you do, so they can also kind of be your champion and carry that message along too, and be a connector as well. All right. If you have any questions or more comments, throw them in the chat. I want to bring your attention back to, first of all, the evaluation for today's webinar session. If you could fill that out and let us know your takeaways, we always really appreciate that. It's super helpful. I want to put a plug in for the APSE conference. If you have not registered for that already, I'm going to drop the registration in the chat here, hopefully, before the call is gone. But if you just look up Iowa APSE online, the conference and registration is front page. That open, but apparently not. And then, believe it or not, we are finishing up the community of practice, the year in September. So we'll be back September 20th, again, with a collection of providers. And actually, I believe we'll have New Hope and EPI and Hope Haven back to talk some more about their success stories, both in integrated competitive employment and just kind of across their different programs and approaches and stuff like that. So not even specific to one type of approach. So please come back to hear more about success stories, September 20th. And then let me get that registration for you here in the chat, if I can manage to find the right window.
I think that I was just going to add, though, even though you're talking about registration, because we all want to see your faces at the Iowa APSE conference, we also would love to hear your stories. So nominating people for personal achievements, if there's a professional and advocacy, like just check out all the, you know, the links, the page, like us on Facebook, follow us for all your good stuff.
Yes, thank you, Eva. Okay. Managed to do it. So there's that. So please register if you haven't already. Fill out the evaluation, a quick 3 questions, and then we will see you September 20th, Tuesday at 1 p.m. To finish out the year. Thank you so much, Eva, Mandy, Kara, Christine, Chris, Jen, and Nicole. Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. Thank you. Everybody take care, and we'll see you next month. We'll see you soon. Thank you. Oh.